What do you think all of this means for cyber insurance as we head sort of into I guess we've entered the second quarter of 2026. What do you think's coming, and how do you think the market's going to sort of react and behave in the next, as much as any of us can predict the future, the next few months or even to the remainder of the year?
Well, I'm going to be a little dour and then a little optimistic in that order. So the dour part, I think there's some big systemic risk coming down the pipeline. The first one of this is quantum risk. So we are probably 3 to 6 years away from quantum systems becoming practical to bypass a lot of present forms of encryption. That puts us anywhere from 6 to 8 years before this starts being in the hands of cybercriminals. One thing I'd remember is data can be archived and then decrypted later. So an attacker can steal data now and archive it until quantum computing becomes more available and then get into it. So this is going to lead to massive systemic risk across a variety of industries. The second is systemic risk from vendors and service providers. This can be cloud providers like AWS or GCP, like the recent CrowdStrike incident, payments providers. These are becoming much more appealing targets to attackers due to the fact that these can cause industry-wide incidents that can merit much higher ransom fees. So that's the downside. The optimistic side, I think we are moving into an era of stronger and more efficacious controls paired with tools that enable insurance companies to actually enforce those controls effectively. So like one example I brought up previously, which is enforceable by SplitSecure, but also by other tools that are coming down the line, is I want to specify as the cyber insurer certain rules about how sensitive accounts are handled, which have to be enforced organization-wide. And if they're not enforced, that is grounds to void the policy. Rules like, very sensitive admin accounts cannot be unilaterally possessed by one person. Would have detected that example with the CISO I gave before. There's now a variety of tools becoming available to cyber insurers to consistently enforce a definition of good practices across large enterprises or even small and medium businesses, which I think will greatly reduce the risk we're seeing from this just sort of human error-driven classic attack mode.
I think it's worth drawing comparisons to the past here. This was technically before my time, before I was an adult, but if you think back to Y2K, that was a very serious problem identified in advance. That was extremely real. If nothing had been done, that would have been catastrophic. Computer systems all over the world would have been crippled. It would have had a massive, incalculable effect on the world economy. A lot of people did a lot of really complicated work to prepare for it. At the end of the day, the work was successful and the problem was neutralized, to the point that some people look back and go, oh, Y2K was a hoax. There was never any problem. There was a very big problem and we fixed it. I think a lot of the problems that we're describing here, we are still in the time period where these things can be fixed. We have identified what we think is very likely going to happen. As much as there are smart people on the cyber attacker side trying to innovate, there are also a lot of people on the defense side innovating as well and trying to get ahead of this. The fact that it is a back and forth struggle does not mean that any of this future catastrophe is inevitable.